In 2016, I made it to the World Championship of Public Speaking for the first time. Thinking back on the World Championship of Public Speaking in 2016, there were 3 lessons that I'm going to share with you. The first lesson, learn from the past so that you can visualize the future. You cannot underestimate the power of visualization. And I know that you may be thinking, Aaron, dude, that's just some weak psychotherapy stuff. Visualization doesn't actually work, man. Well, if your idea of visualization means closing your eyes and repeating affirmations over and over and over again, I'm going to win the world championship. I'm going to win the world championship. I'm going to win the world championship. Aww. If that's your idea of visualization, you're right. That doesn't work. But there is a way that you can make visualization work for you. But it comes from watching the past. When I was competing, one of the best purchases I ever made was a CD set of the top winners of the World Championship of Public Speaking from 1986 to 2010. Not only was I able to see the top winners every single year, I also saw the stages that they were performing on. I saw the size of the stage. I heard the audience reactions. I visualized myself being on that stage in their shoes. I went on record to say that I wasn't as nervous for the World Championship as I was for the semifinals because I had seen the World Championship so many times. I had visualized myself being on that stage so many times that when I actually got to the World Championship stage, it felt like I was home. Well, as much as home as it could feel like if you're speaking in front of 1,000 people and still have crazy amounts of anxiety. But it all came from me visualizing and learning from those who came before me. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that this box set is available for purchase anymore, at least not legally. But many previous World Championship speeches are available on YouTube. In addition, you have a lot of finalists who have also posted their videos on the World Championship stage. Your homework is that after you watch this video, check out the playlist that I created of all of the previous World Championship of Public Speaking speeches that are available online. And when you do that, don't just listen to the speeches. Look at the stage that the speakers are speaking on. Listen to the audience reactions. Study the reactions. Ask yourself, why did the audience react that way? Visualize yourself doing something similar. Visualize yourself being on the stage in their shoes. And get used to the thought of being in the World Championship of Public Speaking. Now, lesson 2 is simple. Stand out. But stand out for good reasons. When you get to this level of the contest, being good isn't good enough. You cannot go onto that final stage and just try to deliver a generic motivational speech. You need to go out and follow your dreams. You need to go out and work hard and be dedicated. Let me be blunt. That may have worked in the first few rounds of this contest, but that is not going to work for the World Championship of Public Speaking. FYI, that did not even work for me in the first couple of rounds of the contest when I tried it in 2012. Everybody at this stage is a good speaker. You have to find a way to be unique and be different. One of the easiest ways to stand out and be unique is to tell a personal story. Now, I know I may sound like a broken record when I say this, and I know the advice may sound cliche, but personal stories are a great way to stand out. Listen, there aren't any new themes or new concepts that haven't been talked about before. But something that hasn't been talked about before is your personal view on a particular subject, a particular concept, or a particular theme. Another way to stand out is to take some creative risk. One type of creative risk you can take is to use a gimmick. Wait, before you go and say something like, Aaron, why would you suggest using a gimmick? Gimmicks are just cheap tricks. Nobody wants to use a gimmick. Here's my logic about gimmicks. I believe that you have 2 different types. You have a quality gimmick and you have an empty gimmick. Now, a quality gimmick is a gimmick that you used, and if you did not use that gimmick, it completely changes how you approach the speech. The speech is actually improved upon by the gimmick. On the other hand, you have empty gimmicks. And these are gimmicks where you could give the entire speech without giving that gimmick and it would change absolutely nothing about the speech. Now, this is just my personal opinion, but I think one of the biggest problems in the International Speech Contest is that you have way too many people using way too many horrible, empty gimmicks. I'm going to hang upside down in a chair, just because. I'm going to use a prop that has absolutely nothing to do with anything in my speech, just because. Or you're going to use the most overused gimmick of them all, being overly theatrical and dramatic. Now, I once heard a story about a former speech competitor who decided to kick a ball off the stage as part of his gimmick. That ball then hit one of the audience members in the face. Yeah, he didn't win. Your gimmick, if you choose to use one, should be relevant to the message that you are given. In addition, there should be a meaningful reason why you're using that gimmick. For me in 2016, my gimmick was obviously the 57-word title. Just for context, speech titles in the International Speech Contest are usually 1 to 5 words long, and it usually only takes about 10 seconds to introduce a speaker. In 2016, just introducing me and my speech took over 1 minute, but unless I was able to connect that title to the rest of my speech, it would have just been a cheap laugh. I had to find a way to make my gimmick a quality gimmick, and what I came up with was this line. Just because you say more doesn't mean people will remember what you say. The title got people's attention, but the quote made it meaningful, and that's what set it apart. Finally, we come to lesson number 3, which is to make sure that you do your best. This is something that I honestly don't think I did in 2016. And I know there are some people who are thinking, but wait, Aaron, your speech was great. I mean, you had good humor, you had good stories, and you had a strong message. Oh, you're so nice. Don't get me wrong, I am still proud of the speech that I gave in 2016, and I am proud that I came in second place. Don't forget, 30,000 people around the world competed in the International Speech Contest. Second place out of 30,000 people, that's really not that bad. And to this day, I still get messages from fellow introverts who say that my speech inspired them. However, sometimes what matters to a speaker isn't necessarily the rewards that they receive or the accolades that they get, but how well they believe they did. And when it comes to my speech in 2016, I feel like there was something that I left on the table. When I left the stage, I didn't think that I had given it my best performance possible. I made some mistakes early on in the speech, and I allowed those mistakes to get in my head, and I started to think about what the judges would mark down. When I started thinking about the judges, that took my mind off of what really mattered, the audience and the message. And there was one story in that speech that I absolutely loved. The story was about a young girl who gave me one of the best learning moments of my entire life. It was one of my favorite stories, and I wanted to tell it with the same energy and the same passion that I had done so in my practices beforehand. However, because I was so focused on the judging, because I was so focused on winning, I don't think that I gave that story the justice that it deserved, which means that I don't think that I gave my speech the justice that it deserved. And as a speaker who takes real pride in his performance, that destroyed me inside. In fact, to this day, it still frustrates me. Now, I knew that I would never be able to change history, but when I left the stage, I said to myself, if I ever got to speak on the World Championship of Public Speaking stage again, I would make sure to do it right. I would make sure that I got on that stage and did my absolute best, because the one thing that you never want to leave the stage with is regret.